Everybody knows that extended warranties are a scam, but not when it comes to these cars. From sky-high repair bills to glitchy tech and rapid depreciation, these vehicles prove that new isn't always better. In this video, we're exposing the 13 worst new cars you'll regret buying in 2025. Dealers hope you'll buy these rides without doing your research. Whatever you do, don't skip around because we'll expose some six-figure bestsellers that turned into complete financial disasters for owners. Let's kick things off at number 13 with the Mitsubishi Mirage. This car's always been controversial. For years, it was one of the cheapest new cars on the market. People bought it to save money and not much else. But in 2024, Mitsubishi finally pulled the plug. There will be no 2025 Mirage. The company said the remaining stock should last until summer, and after that, it's gone for good in the US. And that's a big deal, because the Mirage was one of the last new cars under $20,000. Now, only the Nissan Versa remains in that price range. But is that really a loss for budget buyers? Not at all. You see, the Mirage had problems, lots of them. It had a weak engine, a noisy cabin, and a cheap interior. It also had poor safety ratings and weak crash test scores. It earned the nickname the poor man's car, and it's not hard to see why. It was never fun to drive, it was never fast, and was never built to last. The ride was rough with basic tech, and resale value? Almost nothing. So yes, it's gone, and some people will miss it, but others say, good riddance. And if you're thinking about scooping one up before they vanish, you're probably better off putting that $16,695 toward a decent used car. But if you think the Mirage was bad, wait until you hear about our next entry. At number 12, we've got the Jeep Wrangler. Nobody loves Jeep more than Jeep owners, but even the most diehard fans are starting to raise eyebrows at the 2025 Wrangler, starting with the price. The base Jeep Wrangler starts above $33,000, while the top trims like the Rubicon 392 Final Edition hover around $90,000. That's luxury vehicle money for something built more for trails than traffic. Even used Wranglers aren't much better. A 2-year-old model might only cost slightly less than a brand new one, which should be a good thing. However, a car this problematic should not be so expensive. One notorious issue is the death wobble, a terrifying front-end shake that can happen at highway speeds. Jeep has issued steering damper fixes, but many owners argue they're band-aids, not long-term solutions. Then there's the water intrusion. Owners of models with the Sky One Touch power top have reported water pooling inside the roof panels and dripping into the cabin. Misaligned seals can also let water in after removing and reinstalling the roof panels. And don't forget the electrical issues. From power windows to gauges and lights, failures are commonly tied to the totally integrated power module. This is a known weak point in Jeep and Dodge products. If you're expecting to pull a heavy load or off-road with confidence, be aware that parts like tow hooks and suspension components have been called into question for their durability. Given all these issues, you might be better off with something like a Toyota 4Runner or Land Cruiser. These are vehicles that offer off-road capability without the reliability concerns. Moving from rock crawlers to road cruisers, next up is the Fisker Ocean at number 11. The Fisker Ocean looks sharp. It's fully electric and promises a lot, but that's where the good news ends. Fisker filed for bankruptcy. That alone is a red flag. If the company goes under, who will fix your car? Service was already slow and parts are hard to find, so things will only worsen. Consumer Reports gave the Ocean a reliability score of 15 out of 100. That's one of the worst ratings. People have had lots of problems. From power loss to system glitches, it's just not dependable. The ride is rough and feels unsettled on bumpy roads. The steering isn't sharp, so you won't enjoy taking corners. The regenerative braking is also harsh. It stops too fast and feels awkward. Another ridiculous problem is the confusing controls. Simple things like changing the air or adjusting the radio take too many steps. There's no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. That's shocking for a car that starts at nearly $39,000 and goes up to $69,000. And the advanced safety systems? They don't always work. People have reported sudden braking and lane assist that fails. This car isn't just a lemon, it's a liability And if you thought the Fisker was off to a rocky start, our next pick might take it to a whole new level. Coming in at number 10 is the Chevrolet Blazer EV. It turns heads with its sharp design, but looks aren't everything. This EV has had a rocky start. That's common with new electric cars. First-year models often have problems. However, the Blazer EV takes it a little too far. Owners have reported major software issues like screen freezes and system crashes. Sometimes, the car won't even start. That's inexcusable for a brand new vehicle. Charging isn't smooth either. Some users say charging stops midway. Others struggle with the charging port not responding. For an electric car, that's a big deal. Driving it feels okay, but not great. The ride is stiff, the steering lacks feedback, and when tech fails, even safety features go offline. That's not just annoying, it's a hazard. Chevrolet paused sales for a while to fix problems. That says a lot. If the maker pulls it from the lot, that's a sign for you to stay away. The Blazer EV ranges from around $48,000 to over $60,000. That's a lot to pay for a car still finding its feet. Sure, the Blazer EV might improve over time, but right now, it's a gamble. If you need something reliable today, this isn't it. And if you're thinking of buying an EV, keep watching because we've got a couple more that are much worse. Let's shift gears to a luxury brand where things aren't much better. BMW XM takes the number 9 spot. BMW has been the top luxury car brand in America for years, until Tesla took the lead. But BMW still knows how to build great cars. The XM, though, it's a head-scratcher. This is a standalone M model. That means it's supposed to be special, bold, powerful, but something's off. Maybe BMW wanted to make an SUV that could compete with the likes of the Lamborghini Urus or the Aston Martin DBX, but it missed the mark. Let's be real. Why would anyone pay over $160,000 for an SUV that feels like a downgrade? The XM is slower than it should be. It's heavier too. The handling doesn't feel like an M car. It's clumsy in corners and not very fun to drive. Even the smaller and cheaper X5M, which starts around $124,800, feels sharper and more balanced. That's almost $40,000 less for a better ride. Inside, the XM is packed with tech and flashy materials, but for that price, everything should feel flawless. It doesn't. The design is busy, the controls are confusing, and the rear seats? Not as roomy as you'd expect in a big SUV. It tries to be bold, but it just feels bloated. The XM is a luxury swing and a miss, from one famous brand to another. Sliding in at number 8 is the Ford F-150 Hybrid. The best-selling vehicle in America has always been the Ford F-150. Well, until 2024, when the Toyota RAV4 took the top spot. Still, the F-150 is a big name. People love it. So when Ford introduced the hybrid version, it made sense. Buyers wanted better fuel economy. The industry wanted greener options. But the hybrid F-150 flopped. From the outside, it looks like a regular truck, tough, rugged, and ready for work. But under the hood, problems started stacking up. Owners reported engine issues, strange noises, and battery concerns. It just didn't feel as strong or smooth as it should. Consumer Reports gave it an overall score of only 47 out of 100. That's low. But the real shocker? It scored just 7 out of 100 for reliability. That's awful. Drivers weren't happy either. In fact, only 2 out of 5 owners said they'd buy it again. That's a big red flag for a truck with a strong legacy. The hybrid powertrain was supposed to be the future. Instead, it became a problem. If you're thinking about a hybrid pickup, this might not be the one. The F-150 Hybrid just didn't live up to the name. Ready for another surprise? Coming in at number 7, the Audi Q4 Sportback e-tron. This is another luxury German SUV that you'd expect to see on the list above. Cars that are almost perfect, according to Consumer Reports. But sadly, it doesn't reach even half of what those cars offer. It looks great, sleek, stylish, and premium, but that's where the good news ends. The Q4 Sportback e-tron starts at around $60,000. That's a lot of money. For that price, you get 335 horsepower and 258 miles of range. Compare that to the Tesla Model Y. It starts at $50,000. It gives you 385 horsepower and 330 miles of range. That's more power, more range, and it's $10,000 cheaper. When the Q4 first came out, it was even worse. Only 295 horsepower, just 236 miles of range. Same high price. Audi made changes, they added power, they added range, but they're still behind. And the price? Still higher than Tesla. So what are you really paying for? The badge? The look? Most buyers today are only leasing this car because of discounts and deals. And even then, it's hard to call it a smart choice. And now, for a car with a cult following. And by cult, I mean people who keep hoping it'll get better. Next up, number 6 goes to the Land Rover Discovery Sport. This one's famous. So famous for being bad that if I don't include it here, viewers will definitely call me out in the comments. But I'm not just adding it because of the stereotype, I've got the facts to back it up. For years now, Consumer Reports has ranked Land Rover near the bottom 3 brands in the US, and the Discovery Sport, it's one of the worst offenders. Its reliability score is a shocking 30 out of 100. That's not just bad, that's scary when you've paid between $48,900 to $53,100. It's hard to drive smoothly because of uneven power delivery. The ride is stiff. It feels clunky in corners. For a car that costs this much, you'd expect comfort and grace. You get neither. It's also short on agility, making it feel less like a luxury SUV and more like a bulky tank. And don't even get me started on the infotainment system. It's slow, confusing, and not user-friendly. So what are you really paying for here? A badge and a headache. Just when you thought things couldn't get more disappointing, here comes a tag team letdown from 2 major automakers. At number 5, the Subaru Sultterra and Toyota BZ4X. Here's a pair with so much promise. Toyota and Subaru teaming up to take on the electric world. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it quickly turned into a nightmare. The Toyota BZ4X and Subaru Sultterra are basically twins. They look the same, drive the same, and sadly, fail the same. Both launched with one of the most embarrassing recalls in recent history. The wheels could literally fall off while driving. That alone scared off a ton of buyers. But even beyond that, these EVs are just not good. The range is weak, around 222 miles for the all-wheel drive versions. That's way behind rivals. Charging is slow, like painfully slow, and the driving experience is dull, underpowered, and far from exciting. Inside, it doesn't get better. The interior feels cheap, infotainment system is clunky, and visibility is poor due to thick pillars. It's sad, really. These cars had the power of 2 major automakers behind them and still missed the mark. So if one of these was on your list, I'm guessing it's not anymore. Next up, the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Together with the Wrangler, these are some of the models that drain the reliability badge from Jeep. They make Jeep one of the worst car brands known in America, year in and year out. And the Grand Cherokee, it's leading the charge in the wrong direction. Consumer Reports gave it a reliability score of just 22 out of 100. That's almost dead last. And it's not just the numbers, it's what actual owners say. One owner shared, "It has been back to the service department 4 times, and they have yet to identify the actual problem." Imagine spending over $40,000 and still not knowing what's wrong with your car. From engine trouble to software glitches and electrical issues, this SUV doesn't feel solid. And with all that, it still doesn't come cheap. It's supposed to be a premium, rugged SUV, but instead, it's become a service center regular. There are better, more reliable SUVs at the same price. The Grand Cherokee might look bold on the outside, but underneath, it's full of problems. Now, we're entering the final stretch, the top 3. You might be surprised by what's coming next. At number 3, Tesla Model 3. The Tesla Model 3 changed the game when it first came out. It made electric cars cool, fast, and somewhat affordable. But the base rear-wheel drive version, that one has more issues than you'd expect from a car in 2025. Let's start with reliability. Consumer Reports gave it a very low score. Not because it's old or outdated, but because Tesla can't seem to get the basics right. Owners have reported problems with the paint, trim, electronics, and suspension. That's not just one-off stories. These are consistent issues across the board, and we're talking about a car that starts at $38,990. Now, for that price, you get rear-wheel drive and 272 miles of range. Not bad, right? But the standard Model Y has all-wheel drive, more space, and more features for not that much more. The value isn't there with the base Model 3 anymore. Also, Tesla's quality control is still a big concern. Panel gaps, rattles, touch screen bugs, it's all still happening. And if you want service, prepare to wait. Getting simple issues fixed can take weeks. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it's tech savvy. But at its core, this base Model 3 is not what it used to be. It feels like Tesla is cutting corners here to keep the price down. But in doing that, they've created a car that looks good on paper, but struggles in real life. From one Tesla to another. Our runner-up is the Tesla Cybertruck. It's no coincidence these two models follow each other. It's by design, and that design was made by Tesla themselves. The Cybertruck promised the future. What we got was something else. Yes, it looks wild. Yes, it turns heads. But under all that stainless steel is a long list of problems. Let's start with the recent shocker. Tesla recalled over 46,000 Cybertrucks. These were built between November 6, 2023 and July 30th, 2024. Why? A piece of trim called the cant rail can fly off while driving. That's not a scratch or a light bulb going out. That's a major safety risk. But it doesn't stop there. Some trucks have failing windshield wipers. Others have accelerator pedals that get stuck, forcing the vehicle to keep accelerating even when you're not pressing the gas. Tesla says the issue is rare, but let's be real. This is a truck that costs nearly $100,000 when fully loaded. These aren't problems buyers expect at that price point. And even beyond recalls, the Cybertruck still struggles with basic build quality. Reports of uneven panels, rattling parts, and slow service are stacking up. Tesla may call it innovation, but customers are calling it something else. A letdown. It's not just a truck. It's a giant stainless steel red flag. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the worst car on our list. At number 1, the Fiat 500X. This is the car to avoid at all costs in 2025. You probably don't hear much about Fiat in the US anymore, and there's a reason. Fiat just doesn't deliver the quality or reliability that American drivers expect. But somehow, they're still here, and they're still selling the 500X. Let's be clear, this isn't a cheap car. It starts around $30,000, and that's before options. So what do you get for that price? A tiny SUV with poor fuel economy, a stiff ride with a clunky 9-speed automatic, loud road noise, an interior that feels older than it should, and an infotainment system that's slow and frustrating to use. But it gets worse. The Fiat 500X earned a reliability rating of 14 out of 100 from Consumer Reports. That's one of the lowest scores you'll ever see. It's been plagued with engine issues, transmission problems, and electrical failures for years. And none of those problems have gone away. Even owners are warning others. Many report long waits for parts and difficulty getting help from Fiat dealerships. Combine that with poor resale value, and you've got a disaster in the making. If you've got $30,000 to spend, don't throw it at this car. Get a used Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4, or literally anything else that won't leave you stranded or disappointed. The 500X isn't just a bad value. That wraps up our list of the worst new cars on sale. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out our next video, Cars That Simply Never Break